friends, and welcome back to my crafty space. My name is Crystal, and in today's video we are going to be working on the final 3 spreads in this batch party traveler's notebook that I've been working on over the course of the month. So we have already completed 6 spreads plus this cover page. Today we're going to be doing the next 3 as well as the final page, the whole cover, and I'm going to bind it together by stitching it closed at the seam. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into this project and get this traveler's notebook done. All right, so we are going to just jump right in here, and this first spread that I'm working on is all about the dinner that we went to the night of the batch party. So this album, like I said, is documenting my sister-in-law's bachelorette party, but we actually combined it with the bachelor party, so we just called it like an all-encompassing batch party. So for this one, what I wanted to do was blow up the picture of the 2 of them. So that's my sister-in-law and her now husband. So I wanted to blow up that picture and then include a couple other ones from the restaurant. So we, or I should say my husband's family, super duper duper loves Greektown in Detroit. So like I talked about last week, Detroit, or the city of Detroit, has a lot of different like subsections, I think, which is probably very similar to most large cities around the nation and maybe even around the world. But there are different sections. So there's like Mexican Town and Chinatown, and we did a tour in Corktown, and then we went and had dinner in Greektown. So their favorite restaurant is called Pegasus, and I feel like we go there at least once a year with my husband's whole family, sometimes more. Obviously this year we have not been due to extenuating circumstances, but we typically do make it out there at least once a year. So that's where we decided to take my sister-in-law and her fiance for dinner that night, partially because it is one of her favorites, and partially because I think her husband had only been to visit Michigan and Detroit a handful of times, so I'm not sure if he had ever been there before. I find it hard to believe that he would have never been there before just because their family goes all the time, but I could be wrong. I could be wrong, and that could have been his first time. So what I'm working on here is a flip up that I'm going to add to the right side of the page. So I have a journaling card that I pulled from the one of the more recent Feed Craft releases. I think it's called More Please. And I also pulled out a stamp set from that same collection, which is a plate and a fork and a knife. I stamped it in that little area on the card that was just blank, and then called the card a day. And then for the pictures, or I guess to create this flip up, I used a piece of regular copy paper, cut it to 2 inches by 3 inches, and then just folded it in half. I adhered one half of it to the back of the bottom picture, and then sandwiched the top part between the photo and the journaling card. So then I could just adhere the bottom picture down and it will flip up and act as an interactive element on this page. Finally, I used a little element there, the one that says yes. I think it says yes to new adventures or something like that. I used that. It is from an In a Creative Bubble adventure, I think it's called Adventure Bound Elements set. I will make sure to link that up down below. And I printed it on fabric paper, which you guys, I love. I'm sure you know this by now. I love it. So I printed most of the embellishments for this particular album on that fabric paper. So that's what I did for the Yes Please. I love the texture that it gives, and it also makes it a little bit more saturated in terms of color. So it worked really nice. To add these into the book itself, I am just putting some score tape on the back side of the picture and on the back side of that large piece of, patterned paper, and then just sticking it straight down onto the pages inside the book. I find that is the easiest way for me to work on these. I like to work on them separately and then just add the pages into the book. It doesn't add a ton of bulk except for, the thickness of the paper. But the normal paper itself is super thin. I wouldn't be able to write or stamp on it because it would definitely bleed through. So it just works better for me to just go ahead and stick things down on top of it. So I added a few puffy stickers, and we're going to move on to the next spread here. So this next spread is going to be one of two that's going to document a game that we played the night of the bachelor party or batch party. So my sister-in-law, Caitlin, who is my brother's twin's wife, I know it gets confusing. So Caitlin and I planned this batch party for my sister-in-law Danielle, who is my husband's sister. So we were the ones who planned it, and Danielle and Caitlin and I are all a little bit cat obsessed. So we planned this party to be cat themed, calling it I'm getting meowied, and our shirts are like ready to purdy and like silly things like that. So for this bachelorette party, we wanted to do something really fun and out of the box. So we came up with our own drinking game that we played in our hotel room, and we called it Who is the Meowiest? So what we did is we planned out a relay race and had us drink like take 3 shots. So it really wasn't that much, but we took 3 shots, and with each one we had to do an activity. So one of them was to unwind an entire ball of yarn in order to get to the center of the ball of yarn where there was a cattail that you could like put on like a costume thing. Then the second thing, we tacked up some cat toys to the ceiling, and they had a like face marker on them, so you had to jump up and grab the toy off the ceiling, like a cat playing with the toy, and then draw whiskers on your face. And then the last task was to we had like a cat litter bin, and we got some brown crinkle paper and put that in the bin, and you had to put on these silly gloves that looked like cat paws and dig around in the litter in order to find a headband that was cat ears headband. So we did this. We did it as a relay and timed everybody, and then whoever did it the fastest got a prize at the end. So it was fun. We laughed so much, and what we did is snapped pictures of everybody completing the race or in the middle of the race. So this page that you see right here is all of the girls that were at the party. So there's myself, my sister-in-law, Caitlin, and then our cousin and our other sister-in-law. My husband has a bunch of siblings, which is awesome. And the previous page had my sister-in-law completing the task, and then just a bunch of pictures of her doing the different things, and some journaling about it. So I had we did this, did this task, and then this shot, this task, whatever. So that's what it was. So those 2 pages are to document that. I did decide to collage it so I could include more on that second page there. And the filler card that you saw was from, I'm trying to remember I think it was from the Treasured kit from Feed Your Craft. And that I also printed on fabric paper. So the last page there is just a wrap up. I love to do that with all of these travelers notebooks, and then, just put that in at the end, like things that we saw, things that we did, things that we loved, things that we ate and drank, that sort of thing. So it's a wrap up page with lots of journaling. That was from let me think I can't remember if it was an In a Creative Bubble thing or if it was from Feed Your Craft, but it was definitely one of those. And then now the last thing I have to do is just put this thing together. So I took that piece of pattern paper and I cut it down to 8 1/4 tall by 9 inches wide. Then I scored it at 8 1/2 inches. So, or not 8 1/2, sorry, at 4 1/2. I'm losing it. 4 1/2 inches is where I scored it. So it's going to be 1/4 of an inch longer than all of the other pages. And I do that on purpose so that when this thing is all put together and once all that bulk is closed up, the inside pages won't come out of the sides, if that makes sense. Once I have that done, I just need to go ahead and get the holes punched into the center of my book here. That way I can sew it closed. I made myself a template, And these holes are spaced every 1/2 of an inch. So I'm just going to poke them down the middle of all of these pages. I think I'm going to show you one more here. And I do use a binder clip up at the top just to hold it in place so that I don't have to worry about it slipping. And then I have this like paper piercing tool that actually came with my Sizzix Stamper's Secret Weapon. So I think you can get them from, I think like We Are Memory Keepers and all those different companies sell them. But yes, then I'm going to skip over the rest. So everything else has holes in it now. So the last thing I need to do is stitch this thing closed. I am going to use just embroidery floss. It is white and I use all 6 strands just to give it a lot of durability. Once I get it all threaded on here, I always count the number of holes there. I probably could just write that on my template, like how many holes are there, so I don't have to count them all every time because I forget. And then I just want to find the middle one. So I'm going to find the middle one and then count down each of the different pages to find the middle. And this is how I get started. So I go from the inside to the outside. Then I'm going to stitch all the way down to the bottom, from the bottom all the way up to the top, and then from the top back to the middle. So, or, you know, you can do that backwards. You can go middle to the top, then all the way to the bottom, then back to the middle. So when you end your stitching, it's going to end in the middle of the book. So then we can just, or the middle of the inside of the book, I should say. So then we just have to tie it off and our book is stitched closed. So I'm going to skip over a bunch of it to where we're just now in the middle and show you guys how I tie it off. And then that will pretty much complete it. So, yep, there we go. So yeah, this one, I had a lot of fun creating this book. I am super excited to show you guys the bridal shower one, which is coming next week. But yeah, super happy with how this book came together. I will pull over the cover there, stick it through those elastic loops so you can see it all together. And then that is pretty much going to be it. So we will go ahead and slow you guys back down. All right, you guys. That concludes this traveler's notebook. I am super pleased with how it came out. Here is a flip through of those last 3 pages that we just worked on. Well, 3 1/4 or 3 1/2. So we've got this one with the flip up here and the journaling underneath. Then we've got just the main photo with the collage over here. And then that last page with all the little photos and filler card, and then the back page, which is just the conclusion of the trip. I selected the pattern paper here because I felt like it went nicely with the black and gold, and then I also liked the way that the inside looked with the stamping, having the black and white that mirrors the black and white there. So this can come out of the notebook here and just be its own little thing. Or, you know, I'm going to give it to her inside of the cover, just like so. So I'm really happy with this one. So what I'm going to do next week, we will be starting the second traveler's notebook that I will be sending her, which is the bridal shower traveler's notebook. And then once I get that one complete, I will do a flip through of both completed albums in one video right before I send it to her in the mail. So if you guys enjoyed this video and this series, putting this traveler's notebook together, give this video a thumbs up down below. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button while you're there if you haven't already, so you can see all of my future crafty videos. And then I will see you guys next week with the beginning portion of the bridal shower traveler's notebook. In the meantime, I do have some other videos coming your way, but next Saturday will be the next time that we are inside of these traveler's notebooks. So I hope that you guys have a great rest of your weekend, and I will catch you all in the next video. Bye now.